Okay, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Gulf Intelligence Daily Energy Markets podcast. It is Tuesday, June 7th, and this morning we're seeing the continued trend of slightly but surely upward motion in the oil markets. The open in Asia up a few pennies after the sort of big leap over the last week or two from the kind of stuck near 110 posture to now stuck near 120 posture. A nice chunky difference if you're selling the stuff. We've also seen back in action some sense that all markets are rising. Nikkei again, Nikkei index, the Japanese stock market index up again this morning, has had a big jump since its lows in March, April time. Let's kick off this morning with Peter McGuire, CEO of XM Australia, to make sense of it all. Peter, the markets are back at it. Your thoughts this morning?
Well, good morning, Sean. Good morning, panelists. It's been a very strong move as far as energy, as you mentioned, Sean. It was a whipsaw market last week, and what we saw up to 122, 123, and back to 113. Now we're sitting just shy of 120, or right on 120 for Brent. So it's been a trader's delight. There's not one trader I know that's unhappy with the movement. US dollar index just under 103. It's in a bit of an upward trend at the moment. So the overall theme, I think, as you mentioned, is onward and upward. We saw equities off Friday night after that non-farm payroll. They were off pretty savagely, but last night the US equities were in positive territory, and it's a mixed bag across Asia today. Australia's down 1.53, and our central bank raised interest rates 0.5. So it seems like it's rate tightening all the way through, Sean.
How real, Peter, is the OPEC Plus announcement last week? The market, like a salmon you try to hook on a summer's day, spit it out and kept on moving.
Well, it was real, Sean, and I think that as the market absorbs, not only from a production side, but the other side is what did we expect from price? And I think everyone was thinking, well, maybe it's going to be a 115, 110, possibly you might see a 120 handle, and then it's just ratcheted up. So it seems to be onward and upward, and we may even take a 125 or 130 out this month, only being early in the month. So I think the overall appetite, you're talking about stronger growth and stronger demand picture, certainly from China as it reopens. Secondly, across Asia, strong growth across India, and really the whole world is very much embraced. So if we don't fall into any other COVID issues or monkeypox or anything like that, then it's going to be, I think, a fairly strong number as far as demand leading up to Christmas. And that's not a bad thing for a producer.
What about Sri Lanka debt default pox that spreads to Nepal, Pakistan, and who else? I mean, from the point in the context of the Asia, I mean, it's not long ago the Asia contagion of the late 90s, and suddenly the dominoes fell. I'm just wondering your thoughts on the fragility within some of the Asian economies and what, or if any, contagion would exist.
Well, there would be some form of contagion, Sean, and there's no doubt that that will be a major concern for debt holders and where central banks have to play and bailouts and so on. So I think it's going to be a tough one. I'm not sure as far as how deep a contagion, but as you mentioned, Pakistan and Bangladesh, and they're big population bases. So it's a high degree of uncertainty at the moment, and maybe it does wash across to the likes of Myanmar and further afield to Cambodia and so on. So I think it's a story that will develop, and at the moment it's not getting a lot of bandwidth, but it could very quickly ratchet up within a matter of days. And I think it's just something we've just got to be conscious of.
Peter, the big question on the point of opening of China, do we interpret that they have stepped away from this kind of draconian zero COVID policy, or could we slam back shut very soon? Again, we're already seeing in Hong Kong a resurgence of infection rates. Your sense of where China's going with this opening at the moment?
Well, Sean, they'll keep a very close eye on what happens in Hong Kong and how that rolls forward. And naturally, if they have a reinfection rate on the mainland, I think it'll be two hands on the wheel and they'll lock it down again. But at the moment, it seems to be gaining traction and for a positive tone, good for naturally the consumers, good for the man and woman on the street, and hopefully we can put that behind us. But it's just a wait and see. I think everyone's under the same sort of situation. We've got a green light at the moment, but that doesn't mean that you could hit an orange somewhere along the line in the next matter of weeks or months. But you are in a summer period, and that's hopefully going to be a better situation for us.
And does that indicate, I mean, from the point of view of all things dig out of the ground in Australia, that it's, full battle to opportunity in China? Where's that relationship? We saw reports the last few days of a Australian military aircraft of some description that was engaged with a Chinese, or some noise there. Where's that China-Australia relationship now, given the reopening and the obvious opportunity for Australia?
Well, I think from what I'm hearing, Sean, that certainly miners and producers are very, very happy with the current landscape. They're exporting at record numbers. We're not going down the pathway that we were a couple of years ago with wine and crayfish and certain other commodities that were, I'm not saying blacklisted, but there were issues with them as far as export or import. So the miners are very strong. Coal consumption strong, as we know, and this could be a reasonably good time for Australia over the next 3 to 6 months. We've just got to see if it remains unlocked, and which hopefully will be a positive tone for our export market.
Peter, dollar hits fresh 20-year high versus the yen today. What's going on with the yen? I mean, where is the dollar going? I thought the dollar safety play was over, and it seems to be holding around. Sterling is at a 3-week low, but particularly on the yen, what's going on there?
I mean, it's been wild, Sean. At 120, we got a 132.68 handle for the yen, US dollar yen, which is just, everyone put their mind back. It was only a couple of days ago and we were at a 128, 129, and it's just booted along. Also, the US dollar's come under a little bit of pressure to the upside. So it's not only are we seeing a little bit of softness as far as euro as well, but that yen has really capitulated. No talk at all as far as BOJ raising rates, and everyone else is full steam ahead. As I mentioned, RBA today, we've got Lagarde banging the drum. You could see 25 basis points there. Certainly Jerome Powell and his troop, they'll be off to the races this month and next month, and which in turn could even soften the yen further. So great time to travel to Japan. Not really good for the domestic economy as far as exports being paid in high yielding dollars, but hey, it is what it is, and it's far better than I think when I put my mind back to 85 and the yen was at 242 to the dollar. So
why the yen is typically like the dollar. The yen is a flight to safety, like the Swiss franc, but at this moment it's clearly not. Has it lost that function in the global economy?
Yeah, Mrs. Watanabe and all the traders, they're just selling it, and it's just been an enormous trade for them. But there's just been no attraction to hold yen. The Nikkei's done extremely well, as you mentioned earlier in the show, sitting just under 28,000. So it's onward and upward for the Nikkei. Yen's coming under pressure, and I think this summer could be a good time. Firstly, to visit Japan if we're allowed in, and secondly, further softness for them.
We have to wrap it up there. Peter McGuire, as always, amazing from Sydney. Laurie Hatayan from the amazing, beautiful Beirut, which continues to be a bright light in the Mediterranean, and everybody should go visit. Walter, thank you as always from Muscat. Have a great day, everybody. We'll catch up 10:30.
Thanks very much, guys. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Cheers, Walter. See you, Laurie, Sean.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks, guys.